Hi everybody, Dhaman Mehta here, and thank you for once again joining me on my journey as I go through my favorites list on fanfiction.net. I got 7 stories for you, so let's just dive into them, starting with Ragnarok VR Online by Zephryc. And this is a different version of SAO, Sword Art Online, with Naruto members involved. It's not Naruto like as ninjas. It's just Naruto people like in name only as as extra cast members for Sword Art Online. But there's also a very different game here. Instead of like the 100 Worlds where bosses are at like secret rooms for individual floors, here it's more like a huge open world where the actual bosses seem to be like town raids where you have to go into a town, sneak past or defeat all the enemies, and then find the boss and kill the boss in the town somewhere while ads can still come after you. And then when you do, the people who participated take over the town. Like that's how this world's set up. And that's really interesting. Like it sets up interesting different battles. It's very interesting dynamic of what happens after for the people who then now rule this town, and that aspect only gets briefly mentioned before this story stopped updating. But I think that's still pretty interesting. And what's also interesting is the biggest difference between how the people inside have and interact with the outside world in this case, because I can't remember. I don't think I've read any other SAO fic that does this kind of thing. But here, the company that ran SAO is fully in on the whole death game aspect, not just Kayaba going rogue, and they actually are like, yeah, we're clean legally because you signed away your right to die and get this broadcast to everybody in the terms and services that you all read and surely read and agreed to. Like that's a very, very interesting take on this, and the fact that because of that, the company actually starts broadcasting the important moments like boss fights and raids to the outside world allows us to get a bunch of scenes of people outside the world actually reacting and seeing what's happening in the game, as well as just because of that gives more incentive for outside interaction, outside POV characters and stuff, which there is a lot of here. That stuff is super interesting. You know, sadly, the story doesn't get super far. Like, no, the player killers are just like about to start showing up on screen. Akatsuki is getting created and stuff, but like, they don't actually do anything yet. Like, it's a whole bunch of interesting stuff. But like, what's actually there still is a very interesting, like, odd, different take on SAO with Naruto and Kirito both playing off each other well, and the girlfriends that they have. And, it's nice, like, SAO fic that has a slight lean on comedy. I really enjoyed it. It's going to stay on my list. Next is The Potter Attraction by Pax Humana. And this is a sequel to Chunin Exam Day, which was a Naruto time loop fic where Naruto becomes super, super strong and gets a huge-ass harem. So it's not written by the same person, but it's a sequel in the sense that, like, okay, it's more like a passing the torch thing where, okay, Naruto and his harem, like, they did it. Now they solved their time loop somehow, saved their universe and stuff, and now they got bored, went to another one, ended up in the Harry Potter universe and adopt Harry Potter and train him up stuff, and then he gets sent out to his Hogwarts adventures. So this is written very much like Chunin Exam Day, where there's huge swaths of over elaborate training exercises that are overly explained, tons of like unbroken paragraphs that will just assault you, and also builds up a harem for Harry pretty damn quick and nice and early. And this is very much one of the things where if you like Chunin Exam Day and you got through it, you will enjoy this because, like I said, it's structured very similarly and it's written in a very similar way. I just grew bored of it, just like I grew bored of Chunin Exam Day, which, if you didn't know, was on my list, and that's a long time ago. I did take it off because the fact is, it gets tedious just reading huge amounts of just training and nothing else happening. And, you know, here it's just also with the added benefit, it's like, it's either 90% training, or you have the 10% where like Harry's just super smart, super, you know, intelligent, super social food, everything. So everything can just go exactly his way and do all this. And it's just dull for me. You know, I've said before that OP characters, like, that's part of the OP character genre of the character being amazing and doing whatever he wants. I totally get that. And I'm not saying OP character fics are bad on principle. I just find them boring if all they're about is overly explaining training techniques and then just highlighting how special and amazing the guy is with nothing else. I still feel that the best way to deal with OP characters, or the best way to write them, is to lean into comedy and just make it more of a farce. Because otherwise, it's. I mean, there's other ways to do it as well, but the Chunin Exam Day and this story as well just highlight how boring that kind of story can be, and like how tedious it can be to read. So it's very much just, if you like Chunin Exam Day, I think you will enjoy this. I did not. It's going to fall off my list. Number 3 is I'm Still Here by Catherine518. And this is another Harry Potter time travel story where our main character is a Harry Potter who has basically become the lone survivor of the wizarding world, like still waging a 20-year war against Voldemort after he summoned demons to kill basically everyone. And as such, his emotions are like super deadened, and he's constantly afraid that like everybody around him is going to die. And when he gets transported to a new world because of Voldemort and his stuff, like that, those issues are at the forefront. And so like even while he's gaining new allies, those issues are keeping him from fully connecting with them. And I find that fascinating. You know, this story is incomplete and never really answers like the biggest questions that show up right at the start. But I still found this to be highly engaging because of the way that the character is written. Like Harry's war-weary veterans is written very well, in my opinion. And also all the other characters around him are written well as characters, not just like new weapons for his arsenal, which is highlighted by the fact that the POV changes a lot. Like we get a lot of cutaways to other POVs, which allows the other characters to have their insights highlighted for the reader and make them feel more fleshed out. The thing is, like I said, this is incomplete, so there isn't really the big bang of like the war or the big bang of Harry finally getting Voldemort. What this is really is a lot of character drama. So if you're into that and you want to see a lot of character drama with a war-weary veteran trying to like reach out and, you know, connect with people again, you'll leave happy. I did, and it's going to stay on my list. Number 4 is The Adventures of Harry Potter, the video game, Exploited by Michael Suave. And this is a Harry Potter, you know, life as a video game story where, you know, Harry dies, finds out that like, oh, my life was a video game, goes to the title screen, turns on like hints and like, you know, that stuff, and, you know, relives his life. The difference is this Harry functions as a real gamer. Like, I've had, I want to say, one story that was close to this, where I don't remember the name, but like that story involved Harry like clipping out, going into the real world, finding out about games, then coming back and learning how to actually like, you know, munchkin himself. This one doesn't have that. He just has a natural knack for munchkining in the whole vein of like, you know, oh, this thing doesn't let me progress until I you know, succeed at this. However, still like failing at this still lets me level up my skills. Let me max out my skill before I continue, like that kind of stuff. And it's super entertaining. Like if you know anything about like, you know, video games and like, you know, like exploits or anything like that, I think you'll get a total kick out of this. I certainly did. Like the only complaint I have is similar to that other Harry Potter story, does not get very far. It doesn't even get to the Hogwarts Express here, but we still have quite a bit here. Like we have like Harry made like 3 main zones that Harry goes through, which has a lot of stuff in each. I really, really enjoyed this. It's going to stay on my list. Next is Damaged Defenders by Sherza. And this is another alternate version of what the MCU might have been if the Fox X-Men and, Amazing Spider-Man were added into the universe. It's super interesting. There's constant POV switching, which allows all the characters to really get highlighted and get their own say, which really, and not just superheroes, but you'll get POVs of Jane Foster, Darcy Lewis, Pepper Potts, Phil Coulson, things like that, and it really makes them feel like more than just background extras in the superheroes stories. And it also just highlights a whole bunch of interesting character interaction, which this story really is. Yes, stuff happens. This is also, like I said, the story was started in 2013, so they didn't know how the MCU would roll out. So this one is Thanos coming immediately after the first Avengers movie, in a sense. The build up is that's the focus of that. But the main portion of this is superheroes and people a lot of it's them hanging out and just interacting with each other. And apparently the hated MCU word of banter. There's a shit ton of banter in this. And I think it's written pretty well. Fits with the goofy tone of a lot of the MCU banter. I know a lot of people hate that kind of stuff. I don't. I like that banter a lot. And that's kind of the biggest part where you're going to live, ride or die with this story. It's if you like, a little character, a bunch of superheroes hanging out, bantering with each other while also building up, stuff and doing that, because that's the majority of the story. There is still action and stuff, but that is the majority. Then you'll like this story. I certainly did. It's going to stay on my list. Right, number 6 for the video is NPU Battle of the Labyrinth by Flames of Azure. This is a Naruto crossover with Percy Jackson and the Olympians. It's the 4th book in the Naruto Prince of the Underworld series. That's what NPU is, where Naruto is, son of Hades. And like the other books, this one is the 4th book of this one is the Naruto's that version of the 4th book of the Percy Jackson series. Unlike the others, this one is incomplete. The author did write the 3 others before this. And like before, this one just rolls right in. There's no reintroduction of characters and stuff, so you very much need to have read the previous ones to understand what's going on. And it also has a harem, and it starts highlighting those harem elements with limes pretty much right away. So if you're here for that, feel free. I think this is very much a one of where if you didn't read the previous ones, if you read the previous ones and you enjoyed them, you probably will want to continue the story, even though this book is incomplete. But if you're like me and you kicked all the other ones off the list and you didn't give a shit about this series, you're not going to be interested in the 4th book of this, and I wasn't either. It's going to fall off my list. Alright, and the last one for this video is Worm D20 by Throw Eye. And this is the story of Worm, as told through the lens of a tabletop RPG game, like a D&D campaign, where all the actions are done by players, where Taylor, Brian, Lisa, all of those people, all the Undersiders are the main characters, and we have a DM, and they're playing through a story that is the story of Worm. And I freaking love this story. Sadly, it only gets to the Slaughterhouse 9 arc, but it is freaking amazing. Taylor is just so adorable as her need to become she's still got the batshit craziness and ability to step on everybody's pants shitting terrifying buttons. And the only caveat is here she actually wants to be a full-on villain and go on, get all the power and stuff, but she's so terrified the DM right away that the DM was you know what, we're gonna make you an anti-hero and you have to roll a will save, so that if you if you make some decision that's super bad, I'm gonna make you roll a will, and if you fail, you gotta actually be a hero. That's fun arc. There's the whole thing of certain characters are not at all their actual selves, which leads to out in character, out of character schism. I really just wish there was more of this. But if if you like Worm and have any love for tabletop games at all, you will totally get a kick out of this. It's staying on my list. And there we have it. Fan fiction status time. I've now read 965 stories, and 455 of them have stayed on my list. So there we go. As always, links to all these stories are in the description, so if you want to form your own opinion on these stories, feel free. Links to a playlist for all these videos for my entire journey, as well as my fanfiction.net profile if you want to see some other stories that are there. All these things are there. Leave a like if you like this video, comment if you think my taste is shit, and subscribe if you want to know when the next one of these comes out, because I try, but this really comes out whenever the hell I finish enough stories. So aside from that, take care, and I will see you in the next video.